Hi everybody, this is Craig Tanner for The Mindful Eye and the photo of the week on the Daily Critique. This week's photo of the week was submitted by Sam, who is an advanced photographer from Pennsylvania. Sam shot this with a Nikon D200 using a 70 to 200 zoom at 98 millimeters and at ISO 200. Sam shot this at f11 at 1/200th of a second. Sam said he was at a location called Longwood Gardens. There was a little bit of a rain shower and then a clearing. And when the rain shower started, they walked from outside to inside. And once they got inside, he noticed that the rain shower had left water on the other side of the skylight. And then he saw the pattern of the leaves. And then all of a sudden, it cleared for just a minute. And the sun came out. And the backlight really made this scene jump. And he got off a few pictures before the backlight went away and the clouds came back in and the bit of blue sky went away. A really stunning image just in terms of its ability to get our attention based on a graphic quality and also very dramatic color and dramatic light. This is a great example of the hard light of the day because of the subject matter here, really creating a fantastically beautiful quality of light, making the leaves here really pop in the scene and backlighting all of the droplets of water, and for that to be creating another level of information in the image and just what the hard light is doing to the architectural structure of the skylight itself. So this image to me is a really good reminder of a couple of things. One is that this whole idea of just sort of turning on as a photographer early and late is just really limited from a creative standpoint. And I think the other thing here is just Sam constantly looking for opportunities to take pictures. You're outside and you're photographing and the rain comes and you don't just turn off as a person who is seeing in the context of photography. You keep shooting, and I would be willing to bet this is probably one of Sam's best shots from, the quote-unquote garden shoot happens inside of this structure, sort of waiting for the rain to go away. The other thing that I really liked about seeing this image come in and looking at it at this particular time is that we spent a good bit of time in the last week talking about the difference between formal symmetry and dynamic symmetry, and we talked about how the square is formally symmetrical. It's a formally symmetrical framing device, and so formally symmetrical shots can work really well with a square, and dynamically symmetrical shots can work really well with a rectangle where you've got a dynamic framing device. And this is fun because this is obviously a 35 millimeter rectangle here, but there's quite a bit of formal symmetry. This structure on the skylight almost splits the image in half, and obviously these other supports that are supporting the skylight represent formal symmetry. But then it gets broken up even at the level of the architecture of the skylight. Part of it is just the structure over here is either a little bit different, or it may just be that the quality of light is revealing different facets of this sort of substructure of the skylight. Whatever it is, the fact that this is different than this because of the light, and you see this and you see this part of this side, creates a real nice tension within the context of something that's almost formally symmetrical. The other thing that's totally fascinating to me about this image is that there's obviously quite a bit of symmetry in the structure of the skylight itself, but then you start to get these other layers of information. Even though Sam has shot this at f11 and we're shooting sort of flat into the skylight and the leaves are sitting flat on there, because you have the structure of the skylight and the way the light is hitting it, which is creating a lot of dimension, and then you have the water droplets, then you've got the pattern of the leaves, the way they've fallen, and the way Sam has framed this relative to the leaves, then you have this whole other level of information, the trees in this direct light, and then the sky is a negative space above that. It's just sort of amazing looking through this formally symmetrical thing, and then all of this feeling of dynamic symmetry comes in behind that. It's just a really wonderful juxtaposition to me of one level of information, very graphic, very formal, and then other things that are really loose. And this is the kind of image, the more and more I look at it, sort of the more I see in it, and the more I start to appreciate all the levels of information. Another thing that I love here is just the pattern of the leaves. Very dynamic and very beautiful. The way you move here, almost all the leaves, as you go from one set of leaves to the other or one leaf to the other, almost all of this movement is dynamic. So much of it happens on diagonals, or you can imagine the implication of triangles. And here, where things start to get a little bit lined up on the y-axis and on the x-axis, you have a third leaf, and there's still a feeling of something that's very dynamic. But to me, there's something about this image that really just sort of takes it over the top, and it has to do with repetition and with rhythm. This leaf is one of the most graphic leaves in the shot. It's straight in, it's very close to the middle, and then behind it in the negative space shape of the sky, you get the implication of another leaf, and you have the blue and orange color pair playing right here. It's a really powerful part of the image. Without this, if you were to come in and sort of copy more of this and put it up here and just put a leaf, it would be a very, very different image. I don't think the viewer would stay with it nearly as long, and I don't think they would be affected by the image nearly as much. And to me, this part of the image really, really packs a wallop. And I just wanted to mention this. I'm trying to find a link to this article, but coming back from the Death Valley National Park Workshop, I read an article in Discover Magazine about some new information about how we learn, and sort of the conditions for learning in a way where we sort of learn the best. What are the conditions for that? And it was really interesting to read that two of the components of sort of conditions that help us learn, where we really remember things and they sort of just become a part of our consciousness, is number one, when the learning happens in the context of things that we have strong emotions about, and number two, when the learning happens in the context of repetition or rhythm. And even though this was in Discover Magazine, this is a recent study, the researcher sort of referenced this idea of ancient culture passing along very important information in the form of song, and they related the work that they were doing to that form of passing on stories that would be very important for people to know, just based on the ability to survive, and I found that fascinating. Speaking of song, you could look at this image after you look at it for a while and start to look at the lines and the water droplets, and think about a musical score. It's just sort of another layer of information that somebody might pick up on either consciously or subconsciously here. Really beautiful image. I want to say a big thank you to Sam for sharing this image with us on the Mindful Eyes Photo of the Week. Hope everybody has a great weekend.